So I didn't film me taking everything off, because you guys should know how to take parts apart. So what you got to take off is the top motor mount bracket, the inner wheel well cover, the pulley, which is sometimes that's pretty hard to take off. This one here I got a little lucky, it was pretty kind of easy to come off. Your timing belt cover, and then your lower timing belt cover. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you guys how to set up the bottom timing. Now, it's a little bit different. I have the motor jacked up. Let's see if I can do this here. Come on down to the show. Can you guys see that? You see where the keyway is? The keyway is 1 tooth off of the actual timing mark, and then what it does is it ends up pointing towards the N in the Azen, I think it's called, right up there. There's a mark right in behind. It's pretty hard to see, and even the timing mark on the actual timing, the crank sprocket, is really hard to see. So it's, if you guys are just wondering, it is 1 tooth off. It's right there, 1 tooth off of the keyway. So we got the bottom one set up. Now let's get this motor back up. By the way, to do this, what I do is I take this front motor mount out, and it makes it so you can get the motor up and down, and it gives you a little bit more space against the actual frame rails. Now up here on this timing mark on the cam, there's 2 marks. You have a notch and a dimple. So when you're setting up your timing belt, I have the lower mount off so that I can get in here a lot easier. The lower timing mount mark is 1 tooth off the keyway, and it should be pointing at the timing mark on the crankcase. If that's missing, it basically aims towards an N, the letter N, and a bolt head on the side of the block. It's pretty easy to line up the bottom one. Now the problem with the top one is there's 2. There's a slit and a dimple. You don't go to the dimple, you go to the slit. So I always get confused between the 2, so make sure you go to the slit mark. And then what you do, let me get my camera set up down here, is once you have these 2 marks in position, you take your belt and you start down at the bottom. Just like so. Go around the tensioner and the water pump, other tensioner, you come up to the cam. Now when you get to the cam, just kind of put it on and work it up, just to make sure you don't have any extra teeth slack anywhere. There you go, just like that. Timing belts go on very easy onto these things. Now, what you notice is right here, see how there's very little deflection. This side of here, you want tight, because the tensioner's on the other side. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to loosen off the tensioner. There, the tensioner popped up. And you can see it's taken all the extra slack out of the far side of the belt with keeping the front side as tight as possible. You might have to make it work 1 tooth over when you get it finally into position, and then you take it off this sprocket and work at the last tooth. So we're just going to put some upward motion onto this thing, on the tensioner, just with my hand, and just give it a little bit of a tighten. Just like that. Well, let's see if this thing will fire up. Just hooked everything up so it's got fuel pressure, the computer's on. Let's see if we can start this thing. Smoky in here really fast. Like I said, this thing hasn't ran in probably 2 years. The guy that I bought it off said it was a non-runner when he bought it, and we found out the reason for that, and that's because it needed a timing belt. This thing here runs. So now we got to put all this back together. We got to put the timing belt cover on. We got to put the timing belt guide cover back on. It is really smoky in here. I say that went pretty good. I've maybe spent an hour on it right now diagnosing why it won't run, and then that's including putting the new timing belt in. Now we just got to put it back together. I'm going to go inside and get some lunch and let the smoke clear a bit in here, and then we'll continue up afterwards. I've got everything back together. I've got the motor mount on, I've got the alternator on, power steering, all the covers, and this thing runs good. Now a little trick that I like to do is I like to make it so there's a cutout in the timing belt so I can actually take a look at the timing belt quickly while I'm at the demolition derby. Have somebody turn it over quickly with my harness off, that way I can see if there's any cracks, and if there's cracks between rounds, if it's $10,000, I'll change that at the derby. Let's get this thing fired up and show you guys how she sounds now, all put back together. Let's just start this thing up now. You guys ready? I'm pretty happy with that. Well, at this point in time, I know it runs. So the next thing to do is to build it. This thing here is going to need a little bit more. It's going to need a throttle cable and pretty much a little bit extra stuff that the other guys cut out. So thanks for watching. We've done ourselves a Toyota Camry timing belt with this vehicle here. I bought it non-running and diagnosed that it had spark, it had fuel, and then the next step was to check timing. Once I checked timing, I realized that was the issue. I fixed it up. A little 45 minutes to fix the timing belt, and this car is good for another, well, good for a demolition derby now, and now it runs. So if somebody tells you they have a 4-cylinder Toyota Camry that's not running, don't be scared of it. Go look at it, check timing belt, check spark. Could be something simple. Thanks for watching, guys. See you back here tomorrow.